morning. You listen to FloorDaily.net, and I'm Kemp Harr. This morning, my guest is Santo Torcivia, a principal with Market Insights. You're a partner of ours here at Floor Focus for key economic data, and you've just published your 2024 U.S. Floor Report. So I wanted to get into some of the highlights on what you're calling for the economy and for growth within the flooring business. A little background on you. You are a classically trained economist, and you got into focusing on the flooring business 32 years ago.
That's correct. I started my career actually in banking, and then I jumped to Mannington Mills for 16 years and went out on my own and have been doing Market Insights ever since then.
And I think you've been taking market share, and as you've been recognized as one of the more accurate forecasters in the business. So congratulations on that. Let's talk first about today. You're saying in your report that the business is down about 4.5% in 2023, but you're looking for a bounce back in 24. Is that right?
That's correct. We're forecasting that it's going to slow through the beginning of next year, and it'll bounce back by this last half of 2024, and we should get slowly back on track. The problem we have is the inflation is a big drag.
So down 4.5, that's a roll up. Obviously, most people know the commercial market still has some growth coming. And so the residential market, which is larger, is down probably closer to 8 or 9%, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, we're seeing a shift in the builder market towards single-family homes, which is a good thing because a single-family house is more than twice the size of a multifamily apartment or condo. So some of that gets made up in just the volume of the house.
You know, I was listening to ITR, the economists, the Beaulieu brothers, recently, and they said that the consumer spending was going to fall off in fourth quarter of this year and, might even bring us a negative GDP. That's one factor that's out there, right?
That's correct. There's a couple things pulling all that down and slowing the economy. One is inflation. We are, as a nation, spending way too much at the federal level and printing money like there's no tomorrow. We are now in debt, 140% of GDP. We're the second largest debtor nation among the industrialized countries. The good thing is consumers, even though their debt is going up a little, they're only 26% of disposable income. Consumers are doing a much better job of running their households than the federal government is of running its. And the federal government is a problem because it pulls down the rest of the economy. Now, the good thing is employment is growing, disposable income is growing, consumer spending is slowing, and, inflation is going to be a drag on what it could be. It's going to grow in the out years, but it's being held back by the inflation. The other thing we're seeing is typically there's a pull against inflation with productivity, and we're seeing a little bit of that. But what's killing inflation is energy prices and the fact that the U.S. dollar is being assaulted as a reserve currency. The government prints dollars. People buy dollars to trade in oil, to trade in other things internationally. And now China just made a deal with a bunch of oil companies to use the yuan as the reserve currency. The fallout of that is going to be that inflation doesn't get held back as much as it could be. I think the Fed's doing a half-decent job with what they're doing.
All right. So for those people that are in the flooring business that are wanting to know what the crystal ball is saying as far as what the future will bring, give us an outlook as you've stated in your U.S. Floor Report.
They're not going to see a recession. I don't think so next year. And we're going to see a downturn, and we're going to see a bounce back in the second half of 24. And then we're going to see slow growth after that, and what they call trend growth. And trend growth is around 2.2 to 2.4% going forward from 2025 on. The commercial market is going to see, as it has in the past, some mixed results with healthcare and education institutional doing better, retail and lodgings and offices less so. That's a trend that's been going on for several years now. Office vacancies are rising, and there seems to be no mass way to repurpose offices that aren't being used right now. That's going to be a drag. Corporate profits, though, are improving, and that's a good thing.
So tell us about source of supply. We're going to see more shift to domestic?
Yeah, and a couple of reasons for that. The HFLPA, the Uyghur Forced Labor Protection Act, is causing some disruptions with LVT out of China. That's, I think, is going to be a short-term drag. There is capacity in the world market for LVT, so people can change their supply agreements. The HFLPA is going to cause some supply chain disruptions. It's probably going to help laminate flooring a little bit. But I think the source changes are going to fill in the gap fairly quickly with domestic production and other world sources. The other thing I think you're going to see is consolidation. We're going to see the big box retailers get bigger, and the niche retailers hold their own. And there's going to be continued consolidation. It's typical for a mature industry as the flooring industry is. So.
Santo, how do you consolidate the big boxes? Home Depot is going to be Home Depot, Lowe's will be Lowe's, and Floor & Decor will be Floor & Decor. What kind of consolidation are you seeing there?
Well, what I mean is they're going to get more and more business because they're going to grow their store bases. We're going to see people like Floor & Decor and Home Depot grow their store bases, which gains them share, which helps them consolidate the market. Now, the one thing they still need to get a better handle on is their installation. That's what I mean by consolidating share. Same thing on the mill side. Their share consolidation is what I'm talking about when I say consolidation. The problem some people are going to have is that this Dodd-Frank thing is hurting small banks, and that's where small and middle-sized firms get their financing. And these banks are going to be under a stress to meet all the requirements, and it's going to hurt them to finance local businesses. I'm cautiously optimistic for the future, I guess you could say.
If somebody's interested in getting this report, they just reach out to you, and they can actually reach out through us as well, right?
Correct.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for giving us a read on some of the key points in your U.S. floor report. Again, been talking to Santo Torcivia with Market Insights, and you've been listening to Kemp Harr and FloorDaily.net.